Hi everyone. I'm sure you're kind of stuck in the same position I am where we're at home. Um, how do you do distance learning? How do you do remote learning? Whatever you want to call it. A lot of parents who are used to work, they're not working currently. A lot of times, one of the biggest struggles in life is how do you teach your child? You have to remember that you're the first and forever teacher. So I want to kind of introduce myself and a couple of my friends here. My name's Mr. Rock. I work for Spark, and we kind of help children get ready for kindergarten, but we also work with parents on how to teach them to teach. So my other two friends here is Jungle Jim and Mr. Sparks. If you are any of my families, you kind of already know who Mr. Sparks is. Probably at one point or another, I've brought him out. If you've ever been to my office, Mr. Sparks there. Uh, he is very helpful connecting uh, to the children and how you grow and build that relationship there. Jungle Jim's a new person that I brought out recently. Uh, I have not used him with any of my current families with a book, but I'm going to read a book that actually goes along with where I would use Jungle Jim. So the book I'm going to read today is A Color of His Own by Leo Leone. Keep in mind as I read, this book talks about different things. One is how it feels to be alone, and what, as the book progresses, it talks about a way that you can kind of overcome it. Sometimes it's by choice, and other times it's not, and it's just happens. Uh, so I'll probably ask questions. I'll pause a little bit for you to have an answer. If you have your kids in the room, bring them over. If you don't have your kids in the room and you want to watch all the way through, I'm going to have activities at the end or something that you can do with your child to kind of teach them some basics, a little bit of art, and you can talk about how they feel. Uh, so hopefully this is very helpful. But before I get started, I want you to know about the parts of a book. There are several. We have the front cover of a book. We have the back cover of a book. We have the spine. The spine holds it together. And there are two very important people that go along with it. One is the author who writes the books, and the other one is the illustrator who does the pictures. Uh, I know I do this with all my kids, and some of you might already do this with yours as well. If you don't, it's a really good tool to do because it's something that they're teaching them in school as they progress from pre-K, K, and up. So, like again, we have the front cover, the back cover, the spine. The person who writes the books is the author, and the person who draws the pictures is called an illustrator. So, our book today is A Color of His Own by Leo Leone. He happened to do both. So, I hope you enjoy this story. Let's get started. Parrots are green, goldfish are red. Sometimes that name can be very deceiving if you're not really sure what a goldfish is. You can look it up later. Elephants are gray, pigs are pink. Everyone has a color of their own, except for the chameleon. Chameleons can change color wherever they go. On the lemon, they are yellow, and the heather, they are purple. Heather's a type of a fat flower. And on the tiger, they are striped like tigers. One day, a chameleon who was sitting on a tiger's tail said to himself, "If I remain on a leaf, I shall be green forever, and so I too will have a color of his own." How do you think that makes him feel? Do you think he likes the idea of changing colors? Kind of sounds like he wants to belong. With that thought, he cheerfully climbed onto the greenest leaf. But in the autumn, the leaf turned yellow, and so did the chameleon. Later, that leaf turned red, and the chameleon too turned red. How do you think he feels? How does he look? Happy or sad? And then the winter winds blew the leaf from the branch, and with it, the chameleon. The chameleon was black in the long winter night. And when spring came, he walked out into the green grass, and there he met another chameleon. He told his sad story. "Won't we ever have a color of our own?" he asked. "I'm afraid not," the other chameleon, who was older and wiser. "But," he added, "why don't we stay together? We will still change colors wherever we go, but you and I will always be alike." You found somebody. And if you're alone and you don't have somebody in your life right now, it's probably a good idea to call them. They're probably in the same situation you are. And so they remained side by side. They were green together, and purple, and yellow, and red with white polka dots. And they lived happily ever after. The end. So what'd you think of the story? Can you relate to our chameleon in the story? If so, leave a comment. I'd be more than happy to respond back. As we go through life, it's important that we have people who are around us that are alike and not alike. In our family that you have, and in my family, you're going to have that mesh, that mix of different people, and everyone has their own thing that they kind of bring to the house. So I'm going to talk about some activities that we can do. I hope that you can relate to some of the things that I do. If you have kids at home and you're looking for something that you want to do with your child, here's one really good activity that you can do to kind of help pass the time while you're still teaching them. Keep in mind that we learn through play at that age, and don't be afraid to tell them you don't know the answer. If you yourself don't know the answer, call somebody who does. I know that I learn a lot from my kids, and I've learned a lot from doing this job, so I hope that some of what I've learned I can pass on to you. So let's get started with what you'll need to do an activity at home. Watercolors. Watercolors are great. Kids love to do watercolors. It's not overly messy. It's something that if you should make a mess, it's easy to clean up as long as you don't let it set too long. You can use acrylic paints, you can use markers, crayons, whatever you want to do for this exercise. I'm going to use crayons only because I don't feel like dragging out the watercolors and doing a watercolor picture because it's going to need some time to dry. So let's do a chameleon. I'm going to draw my chameleon if you can think back to how the story was and the shape the chameleon is. I'd like to see some of the things that you draw, so you're more than welcome to post these afterwards. Let me get started with just an outline of my chameleon. So we're going to start with a tail. The tail's important for to get it right because they have a unique tail. It's a little bit different than every other lizard. And the same goes with the head. The head is very different. Chameleons, like most lizards, have 4 legs, and again, it can be however you want to draw it. This does not need to be perfect. And they have a really cool eye. It's big and it kind of looks in all different directions here. And let's draw its mouth. So this is the lizard that I drew. If yours looks different, that's okay. There's no real wrong way to do art. So let's look back to the story. There was yellow and purple and polka dots and stripes and all the different colors of the hue, they kind of mention a little bit. And if they didn't mention it, if you look closer into the pictures, they are there. So I'm going to start out by doing my chameleon green on the top. And let's talk about how the chameleon changes color when it goes on different stuff. Keep in mind that those really abstract colors, like the polka dots and the stripes, they can't produce those naturally. It's almost impossible, but they can do solid colors. So I'm going to start. Most chameleons that you'll find are going to be green or a variation of green. So I'm just going to quickly color some green on here. And let's say he was walking across my table. Now, my table is like a dark brown and it has some black stripes in it and some lighter colors. But the overall color is going to be brown. So I got my brown crayon here. And so he's walking out. And don't be afraid to like put your own thing in. So we're going to just say that my chameleon is walking on my table. But feel free to put them on a branch, in the grass, on a fruit. It's whatever you want it to be. Be as creative as you would like. If you want to draw some people like Jungle Jim or Mr. Sparks in here, feel free. If you have any small Lego person or Barbie doll or just a stuffed animal that you really feel close to, bring them to the table. Let them be part of what you have. Use your imagination. Kind of let it go wherever you want it to be, because you don't want to always think about where you're at. So I shaded the bottom half brown and the top half green. This kind of shows his change from green to brown. Again, you can draw it wherever you want. So say we do his tail, and he goes over and he's got his head. And I draw a lot for work, so don't ever look at my pictures and go, man, I can't draw that fast. That's okay. Say he's on a branch. So we're going to draw a tree branch. I almost forgot his eye and his mouth. Looks a little bit different. Take time. Don't rush through it. Kind of talk about the different colors that you're using and the different objects that they're on. Extend out the activity in any way that you can think of. If you have transparent paper or a laminator, run a laminating sheet through with a chameleon drawn on top of it and take it and place it over top of different objects to kind of show how that change would happen. I hope that you found this beneficial. If you want to learn more, if there's a certain topic that you want to explore, feel free to leave the comments below. I will do my best to respond back to everybody. So I hope you have a great day and have fun drawing your different